All right, peoples, back again. Study on lead, poisoning, and all that, lead in our bodies and all that. Some of these things didn't just happen. Same reason they put, what is that in our toothpaste? Fluoride in the water and toothpaste because they didn't want, or the elite don't want us to be smart enough to realize what's really going on in this world. Like they said back in the early 1800, 1900, 1817, whatever hundreds, when they started the school program, they wanted a world of workers so they can keep getting rich and richer, billionaires. That's why they put this fluoride in our shit, in our water, and in our toothpaste. Same thing they finna try to do with this, whatever they finna do with this water again. They finna add some stuff to the water again, so-called to combat coronavirus. Don't believe it. It's to keep us dumb or to dumb us down, like Common Core. That was created to dumb down children and to make children more susceptible to do as the elites, want in this world. So I'm gonna let this little piece play real quick.
Of baby teeth revealed that even lead exposure well below the level considered safe resulted in delayed learning, decreased IQ, and increased behavioral problems.
And there's a broad consensus.
I am one that was exposed to lead as a kid and everything like that through the paint. Then they want to come through and say take lead out of paint, but you got lead in almost a lot of other things. You got fluoride still in the water. Shit, they blocking our pineal gland or whatever you want to call that gland right here in the front of our brain, for wisdom and knowledge. They want to block and fluoride I think is what blocks that gland. So basically you're only using brain power, which we barely use 5% of our brains. It's ridiculous, man. It's crazy to know these things and to know them as you get older, but yet we still drink that water, and we know that lead is in a lot of things. It's just crazy. So this video is gonna really be short, but I'm gonna let this play real quick so y'all can hear some of it.
On the part of everybody except the lead industry and its spokesman that lead is extremely toxic at extremely low doses.
A follow-up study showed that those with higher levels of lead in their baby teeth were many times more likely to fail out of high school. As a result of studies like these, the CDC's guidelines for the acceptable level of lead in children's blood dropped from 6.
But now with Common Core, they making it so it's easier to pass high school, no matter how much lead or fluoride in your system. But it's easier to pass high school. You know what I mean? Because 1 + 1 don't equals 2 no more. It equals something else, or actually equals 3 now. It's crazy, right? It's crazy. It's ridiculous. Common Core. And now they got this grooming our kids here in Wisconsin. CRT here in Wisconsin. And what is our governor doing? Not a damn thing. What is the senator that want to run for senator, that's running for senator, Sarah Godusky, or whatever her name is? She won't do nothing either. They don't care about us. None of them really care about us. But to choose the one of the lesser of the two evils, I would still rather go conservative. But I would like to see more conservatives blocking this out of our water supplies and out of everything else, and run on safety of Americans or Wisconsinites, the safety, and don't fall for these things like these pandemics or whatever you want to call it, to disrupt our economy. You know what I mean? Our economy's shot. And then you had a plane run into a factory where I think 50%, 45%, 35% of farmers buy their, what is that called? I was just looking at this thing going, and we know, a plane ran into one of these little buildings for farming products to grow our farming products. You know what I mean? The stuff that you can actually nitrate or something like that. Um, a plane supposedly ran into one of the buildings or crashed into one of the buildings by accident, supposedly, that produces 50% or 45%, some percentage of our food, help our food supply. What they're doing is what Germany did. Took control of the farms. Same thing China did. Took control of the farms. So then the people in France have to depend on the government for food and everything else. And like George Soros said, we will become a country of renters, and we will be happy. I don't see why we still ain't banned George Soros from this country. Like I said, third world countries have laws against George Soros that he can't even step foot in them countries somewhat if they know about it. Think about that, yo. These elites. We are America. Why in the heck is the CIA worried about what's happening in Afghanistan and all these other countries when them elites are destroying us from the inside in with their money? From the inside out. Or whatever you want, however you want to label it. But you get what I'm trying to say here. All these government officials and judges and all this are being paid off to turn a blind eye to things that really need to be handled. And then focusing on basically erasing women from society with transgenderism. That's all that is. They trying to say women aren't women unless they are transgender. It's basically how they saying it. How is you going to erase women from society? Where y'all feminists at now? It's like y'all just standing by like it's nothing no more. Like y'all have nothing else to fight for. So y'all feminists? Really? Well then fight for the real women. Is all I have to say about that. Let me go ahead and let this play a little bit more.
60 micrograms per deciliter down to 3.5. And as far as we know today, there is no safe level of lead. Globally, lead is believed to be responsible for nearly 2/3 of all unexplained intellectual disability.
Right.
According to a study published in 2022, more than half of the current U.S. population, that's 170 million people, were exposed to high levels of lead in early childhood. Those born between 1951 and 1980 are disproportionately affected.
And guess what? I was born in 1978. They say the lead is in our baby teeth. Makes me wonder now though, and as I sit and think back, elementary school, middle school, the streets, I can never literally sit there and focus on one thing. Or I can never really pay attention to what the teacher was saying. Like they'd be talking, and I can be looking at this person's mouth moving, and at the same time, it feels like it went in one ear and out the other. I'm not gonna lie. I guess in kindergarten they learned that I had a learning disability. He did. So in first grade, they put me in LD, learning disability classes. Yet still, I couldn't really focus. But I focused enough in that learning disability class where it kicked me back out of learning disability classes came fourth grade. So fourth grade, I was back in regular classes. Because in learning disability classes, you get more attention on you. You know, you had less people in the class, so you could focus a little bit more. on what you was being taught. So yeah, I can remember, like I was literally learning stuff. And when they put me back in the regular classes where there was 30 people in a class and the teacher couldn't focus on everybody, you had to just look at the board, whatever they writing down, pay attention to that, then you got to try to put it together. I had this one in fourth grade, my second year of fourth grade, because I flunked the first year of fourth grade because I couldn't focus again. I lost all focus and I trained of thought. So when I used to leave school, I should be happy to be back on the street playing tag and doing whatever on the street or in my neighborhood. And then I can remember my second year of fourth grade. They set me next to, I was in, what, was it Miss Carter? No, Miss Carter is where I failed. And then Mr. Tobacco, the teacher for fourth grade at 78th Street School. That was the name of it back then. I don't know what the name of the school is now in Milwaukee, South Milwaukee. But it was called for 78th Street School at the time, and I was in Mr. Tobacco class the second year with Michael Bailey, Tenoria Bailey. Rest in peace, I heard from Michael Bailey. That was my dude, man. I don't know if I used to follow him around or whatever, but he was a cool cat, yo. But he was outgoing. You could tell that he had a couple of disabilities too, on the aggression side and all that. And there was this dude named John. He was in my fourth grade class too. He always had his thumb in his mouth. He was a cool cat too. I remember him and Demetrius got into it. I don't know where none of them cats is, but what I heard, from the caucus, this another black kid that was in my class, I seen when I first got out of prison back in 98. No, 99. I seen him. I got out in 98. But in 99, I had seen him. And he told me, man, Michael Bailey dead, whoa, Tenoria in prison. I'm like, God, dog, yo. But anyways, back to it. I failed the first year, but then in the second year, Mr. Tobacco had a great idea of sitting this girl, which was a fourth grader too, and I was a year older than all of them, besides Michael Bailey, because it was his second year too in fourth grade, because his sister Tenoria Bailey, and they ended up in the same class. Weird. What's her name? Chantel? Can't remember her name completely, but she had a sister named Candy that was in fifth grade at the time. But anyways, if I wouldn't been sitting next to her, I wouldn't have passed to the second year of fourth grade. You know what I mean? I literally wouldn't have, because she was sitting next to me, and she was actually, after the teacher was done, she was breaking it down to me and actually helping me. Not literally letting me copy, but she was literally breaking it down to me. It's like that one-on-one type of dealio. And this is another kid that's helping me with this at that time. You know what I mean? That was good. That was a good thinking on his behalf, because she literally did help me. You know what I'm saying? And it was, I don't want to say, it was like 35 people in that class at that time. It was a lot of us, because they had our desks like together. Like if I really wanted, if she wouldn't even help me, I could have just looked over like this and copy people work. But she was helping me. Then I hit fifth grade, and I can remember I didn't have no help again. I acted out a few times, but on the playground mostly. You know what I'm saying? Hanging around with the wrong crowd or whatever. It was a little dude named Michael Wilson. I remember that dude was always fighting. Every time you turn around, he was in DT, not DT in the school, but the group home, detention, from acting up outside the school. And this is fifth grade. And they had let him out to come to school a few times. They was trying to help him, but he had a disability too. We all did, yo. And if I sit back, now I sit back and look at that, like, yo, it was really bad in the black community, yo. And then that teacher, Miss Thompson, in fifth grade. Now, at this time, now they trying to just shoot us out of elementary and just push us on. I can remember her literally saying, to the classroom, up in front of the classroom, because half of us was degenerate, man. You know what I mean? We didn't have that no guidance, really. You know what I'm saying? She literally sat up there and told us in fifth grade, yo, because she even seen it. Half of y'all gonna be locked up or dead by 18. Says a lot about the adults in the school system back then too. Same thing going on now, except they just dumbing us down, dumbing our kids down. You know what I mean? Making it easier for them to just go ahead and shoot through so they could become workers. That's the whole. That's the whole thing. The whole plan is to keep us workers as workers. But yet and still, like I said, that teacher said, by the half of y'all in this class, by the time y'all turn 18, gonna be locked up or dead, and that was actually true, for real. I was in prison. I think Mike went to prison. Of course, Michael Wilson went to prison. Sonoria went to prison. Even if it was a little bit after 18, I was 18 when I went in, going on 19. You know what I'm saying? But we ain't had no guidance. And we know these teachers ain't psychics, but they see how we act in the class. You know what I mean? Fighting, disrupting the class. Why? Because we couldn't focus. And now now that I'm what, 43, and I sit here, I look at things like this on YouTube, and what these things lead can cause, what fluoride does to you. This stuff was, this is what they actually wanted though. Plus it created more prisoners. More prisoner, more cheap labor. Which means you just a paid slave at 8 cents an hour to about $1.50, depending if you leave the compound while in prison. But that's the most I made when I was in prison. I think I did some things for Habitat for Humanity, helped build a few houses. It was like 2 or 3 different houses we had to go help put up drywall, do some painting, things like that. And now this is 98 and I got out. And I've been out since then. I caught another case in 2004. Not for the same thing, because usually when I get caught for something, I don't repeat it. Or I didn't repeat it. Besides my 2 DUIs. That was because somebody followed me and called the police and said I was swerving, which I wasn't really swerving because I was texting. Which you're not supposed to text and drive, kids. Don't text and drive. Especially if you even had a little bit of drink. But don't text and drive regardless. But yeah. Usually I get caught for something, I don't repeat that same crime. At least I won't get caught for the same crime. I didn't get caught for the same crimes. Because once I went to prison, then they had a class called Criminal Thinking. In that class, for some reason, I paid attention very well. You do something by yourself, you're less likely to get caught. That's basically what they taught us in prison, that is. So when you got out, you knew not to be committing crimes with somebody and things like that, because they wanted you to keep committing crimes so you landed back in prison. Because I remember when I left out of prison, I left out of Oak Hill Correctional. And at the time, it was a minimum security. And I can remember this guy we used to call Green Bay. He was a security, CO, correction officer. And as I was leaving, he was like, I'll see you later or something, he said. I said, what you mean by that? He said, you'll be back. That's fucked up. It's fucked up, yo. I didn't go back to prison, though. I went to jail for about, 3 months in 05? No, 06. Because I was fighting my case from the 04. And I went back to jail, though. That's county jail for 3 months. Then I was on 3 years probation or whatever. And I successfully got off of it all, you know what I mean? With no hiccups besides the PO being a dick and an asshole. Trying to find a way to get me locked back up, but he couldn't. But regardless of the point of this video is, man, that lead and fluoride, heck was that pad flying by, was to basically diminish our thinking, diminish our growth and intelligence. They screwed us over. And then we was left out there to figure out for ourselves, especially being from the inner city. You know, I was in the inner city of Milwaukee. And I had trust issues back then. Luckily, I grew up with, at the time, well, it's 10 of us total, put it like that. I got, because I'm the oldest, so I got 9 little brothers and sisters. So the six little brothers and 3 little sisters I have. But before the second set of 5 was born, it was just us 5 for like 5 years. And luckily I had them, you know what I mean, that we grew up together. Then I had my cousin them, because it was only the queen, which was my grandmother who passed, rest in peace, back in 15, or was that 14, the end of 14. Didn't have Pops in my life, he wasn't there, but luckily, if it wasn't for my auntie and them on that side of the family, I wouldn't have known them, because they took it amongst themselves to come get us, and so we could know that side of the family. And that's where I learned more of a love thing for family. You know what I mean? Like, I had love. That's, you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong, I was learning on my mom's side, but I learned more from my father's side without him. Because he was a stone cold alky. And from the time I knew him, he was always drinking. And whenever they told me he was in town, I used to have to go find him to go hang out with him. No, he never came looking for us, but and regardless, I still loved the dude. Why? Because he was my pops. He had a cool demeanor and everything, just as an alcoholic. I found myself becoming an alcoholic. Actually, was an alcoholic, and it still is an alcoholic. Just I haven't drank since New Year's of 2018. Before the countdown of 2018, so it was like 2017 going into 18. It was like 11:55. I can remember it was about 11:55, and matter of fact, it might have been 59 maybe, because I took my last shot before they said Happy New Year's, and I took my last shot. So I haven't drank in almost 4.5 years since 2018. So New Year's of 2018, the day before the countdown before 2018 was my last shot. So I haven't drank in 2018 nor on New Year's of 2018. I literally set the stage of my mindset to say, no, we done drinking, bro. Before you end up dead at 56 like your dad did, or what you going to call it, sperm donor. So that's why I stopped drinking, because my grandmother also died from drinking. It contributed, and I know for sure it killed my pops and a few other family members. So I had to stop drinking. Stop drinking, still was smoking trees here and there. That's an off and on thing here and there. But yeah, man, I just wanted to say a little something about this lead poisoning, man. It's dangerous, bro. And I can now see why we were the way we were in elementary, in middle school. Because I got kicked out of middle school for fighting. Actually, I flunked 6th grade. In the second year of 6th grade, I got into too many fights. And I can remember the principal, Mr. Cougar. Now, this is at Bell Middle School now. Alexander Graham Bell Middle School is at Bell Middle School now. And I can remember the principal said, you getting one fight next year. Anything, woo, 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 woo. You do anything next year in the fight and physical altercation or something. He was telling me, he was just mad as hell at me at the end of the year, my second year, 6th grade. He was mad as hell. One fight, you getting kicked out. Next year came, it was like 2 months into 7th grade, bruh. And some guy that didn't like me lied about another guy saying that he wanted to fight me and such and such and such and such. Regardless, the guy that supposedly wanted to fight me had 5 white dudes around him, and he was a taller guy too. Like at that time, I was probably about 5'9" in 7th grade, 5'9", 5'10", and tall 8, and this was an 8th grader. But you know, didn't know about these disabilities and aggressive issues that I had at this time. If I'd have known, boy, they just took fluoride and laid out of everything. I wouldn't have probably done that. I know I wouldn't have done it, because I'd have been focused too much on school, right? And I probably wouldn't have even been in the 7th grade, because I was supposed to be in the 9th grade. But there was an 8th grader, and I just seen him as this dude, Tamiko. He had a girl name, I can remember that. He didn't like me, but all of a sudden, when we came back to school that next year, he tried to hang out with me. He set the stage for me to get kicked out, because he knew 8th grade, me, Michael Bailey, Tyron Mitchell, and a few others, we'd have been running Bell Middle School. Real talk. But anyway, that set off the shade. I end up hitting this white guy and knocking his teeth to the left or the right. And then my other guys that was with me, they got to fighting with the guys around him. But I was the one that got caught because I was already told not to do getting anything that next year. And they the security snatched me up, took me into the school, and went back out to break up the fight. I snuck around everything while the commotion was going on, hid on my bus, and just waited till the bus left and came back to school Monday. And sure enough, out of there, they expelled me. That was one of that. Now, if I regret something, that was one of my regrets, being kicked out of Bell Middle School. It was a good reason though. And I ended up in an alternative school that year, and by the end of the year, they said, "Hey, you keep your grades up." Which in alternative school now, you only got about 10 people to a class, so you got the teacher more focused on you, on all the students. You know what I'm saying? So of course, I went from a 0 point. Actually, before I left 6th grade, I was at 1.8. And then in 7th grade, I didn't get the report card yet because I wasn't there long enough to get that 7th grade report card, first report card. So 1.8, don't ask me how I got that even in the second year, 6th grade, because I think they were just trying to push us along and then get rid of us. And alternative Miss Henderson, I can remember the Boys and Girls Club on Sherman. It used to be an alternative school back then. And she said, and they said, if you can bring your grade up to a 2.5, we could put you in your right grade next year. Man, I brought that boy up to a 3.2 because you get that attention, that help. When you don't understand something, they don't look at you like, this dumb motherfucker. How many times I got to break this down to him? Nah, come here, boy. And she said, do this like this, like, whoa, 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 whoa. And that's how that happened. I ended up going up, leaving 7th grade with a 3.2 and got skipped to my right grade. And then shit took a turn on the streets because I ended up getting shot after I had a fight at school about 2, 3 months, 4 months. Maybe it was what was that? The fight took place probably in October, and I got shot in March or something like that. And that what led me to leave. And that was that right there. Alright, well, we're going to end this video because we got somebody to enter the room, so we're going to ride out. Y'all take care. Just a little bit. Pay attention, man, to how your kids act when they're young, especially when they get in lead poisoning and fluoride introduced to their bodies. It's crazy, yo. It's crazy. Y'all take care, man.